Okay, I missed one when I went through, which was the asbestos management for buildings. Okay, one of the important takeaways on this is that all of the buildings should have an asbestos management plan. Asbestos management plan has the sampling of building materials within the building. The first look you should be doing on a construction job is to be looking at those plans to see if the area that you're working in has sampling and what the sampling results are. The only exception that we've got on this is that if you're dealing with wallboard, and even though that the sampling may indicate that the wallboard is not ACM, we have a general policy of going in and, unless there's strong information that's brand new and we know it, sampling anyway. Reason being is that on the DFC there has been 60 years of remodeling, and that particular 4x8 sheet of drywall may have been replaced recently, or it may be original. So we always go through and resample on drywall. So we're up here. You looked at the area you're looking at to see if it has asbestos. The only person that can pull the samples is a CABI, a Colorado asbestos building inspector. Once you determine that an area that you're going to be looking at is damaged or is going to have to be removed, and the testing has been done. Now, testing, if your material has less than 1%, it is considered under EPA as not being asbestos containing. Just remember for your employees that you've got OSHA standards there that apply for less than 1% on worker protection. Once you determine that you have ACM and you're moving down and you're going to be removing the area or working in the area, you need to get an abatement contractor, a licensed abatement contractor within Colorado to do the work. There are some small patch jobs within the regulations that allow other individuals to remove small portions of it, but in general, an abatement contractor comes in and does a glove bag or a containment on it. If there's full containment on it, you follow all of CDPHE Reg 8 requirements, which also includes an end clearance. That's about it.
I've got a question on that asbestos stuff.
Yeah.
If we're just patching little holes in the wall and stuff, is that?
If you aren't going to be cutting, if you're doing just a spackle job, something like that is what you're talking about. You aren't doing any disturbing activity.
Okay, my other one was, to my knowledge, we're allowed to do up to 65 square feet of abatement.
Without being an abatement contractor, yeah. That said, look at the books where you're working. If it requires sampling, if you're doing wallboard and such, give it a call, and it's better to make sure that it does not contain asbestos than being on the hook for doing a cleanup.
You know, the big thing is just everybody knows it's all about friable, and it's in the air, and once it's airborne, it can enter into your lungs, and that's the pathway that it takes to attach to your lungs. So the big thing is just, like Mike said, always be safe. Err on the side of caution, but that's the big thing. Is if it's not wetted
Properly.
it's airborne, it is friable. So.
Okay, pre-demolition inspections. This is occurring when we're going to be taking down a building, doing large demo projects. This is from a GSA project manager standpoint. When they do get the indication that they're going to be going into this, they contact EPG. We will contract for individuals or do a walkthrough ourselves, in particular looking for asbestos issues, but also be looking at lead paint and other environmental issues associated with it. We may be doing some sampling on it. There will be abatement plans developed, contracts will be let. Then you will probably step in at that point and be doing the abatement or the demolition on it. You do need to check with the state and local demolition permits. State of Colorado, CDPHE does issue these permits. And that's about it. Any questions? Next one is fugitive dust. Okay. Fugitive dust. This is for large soil disturbing activities. Something that you're dealing with half acre or larger, 5,000 square feet area. The GSA project manager here will scope out the project, get with EPG. We'll make a determination of whether there's going to have to be a state plan developed for it or whether we're going to require some sort of dust mitigation plan. So as contractors, where does that put you? Well, once we make a determination that we need to do some sort of dust control, a plan will be developed and you will be getting the plan to implement. You'll be doing some monitoring on it. Typically, there is some values, 20% opacity, decrease, etc. If you see visible dust coming from your activities, pretty well you probably need to do some sort of mitigation measure. If we do get visible dust occurring, there is an iterative loop here on taking care of the complaint until we get down to we don't have any visible dust. And that's pretty well it.
Mike, in most cases, the requirement's going to be that the contractor wets the soil down.
Standard best management practices are water, water, water.
Right.
Keep the dust down. Okay, site remediation. This is going to be pretty well our contractors that are doing the work, and probably will not be the O&M. So we start out, we do a site investigation, we determine what we're going to be doing for a remediation project. We look in to see if there's any soil disturbing activities. We'll be looking at our records to determine what requirements will have to be done in those areas. We'll determine if we're going to have to be doing some more sampling. We will go in and determine whether the state needs to be pulled in. The Denver Federal Center is under 2 consent orders from the state of Colorado for environmental cleanups. So they control all of our cleanups along with their regulations and agreements that they have on how we do things. And if you get pulled into one of these, we have specific standard operating procedures, et cetera, that you'll follow. But I doubt that anyone in this room is going to be pulled into this. 90-day storage areas. The various agencies may have their own 90-day storage. GSA has currently 2 90-day storage areas, Building 11 and Building 52A, which is the treatment plant. We should have a 3rd one coming back online for roll-offs, which is located next to the old boiler plant. This procedure covers emergency hazardous waste spill response for these areas. Again, like the general spills, if it's a life-threatening, potential explosive, potential fire, or you don't know what the chemicals are, evacuate the area, call 911, or pull a fire alarm. Metro will respond to this with the hazmat team, stabilize the situation. A contractor will come in to do the final cleanup. If you're trained to handle the materials that you're dealing with, go ahead and there's some general amounts here. Less than 3 gallons or less than 10 pounds. If you know what you're dealing with soils, you're trained to deal with the soils, go ahead and do the site cleanup on it. Report it to the GSA project manager and CO, and we will, in both instances, generate a report, an incident report on this. Pretty simple. If you don't know what you're doing, walk away, get everyone away, call 911, pull a fire plug, and let the experts respond to it. Database management system. Hopefully you aren't going to be getting involved with this. The database management system is a GSA database that all of the environmental information goes into. So if you're dealing with collection of asbestos soil samples, asbestos samples in buildings, chemical samples related to a spill, related to a cleanup in an area, you will take the analytical data that you get back from the lab and be required to put this in a format that can be uploaded into the database. It is a complex practice. If you have data that needs to be uploaded, contact the EPG. We can give you some names of individuals that do this on an ongoing practice, and you can contract for this to take place. Unless you're an environmental or a database person, this can be really daunting. Any questions? Okay. Indoor water line break. Okay. If you are going into a building, or even this is predominantly inside buildings, and you observe a leak on it, your first step should be contact the building manager or call the mega center to report the leak. This will get a team out, whether it may be your own personnel or GSA's O&M contractor. Go out, turn off the water, stop the leak, and assess the situation. One of the important things on this is that your consideration for cleanup needs to start as soon as you get the announcement that you have a leak. You've got a 48 to 72 hour window to, if it's a water leak, to dry the area out before you start running into potential mold issues. If there's sewage involved with the leak, it's a backed up sewer line, etc., you're going to be having to contract to pull out, or you will be doing the work as a contractors, remove any porous items that the sewage has come in contact with, disinfect any non-porous surfaces. So generally, when you come into a sewage leak and it's affected the drywall, it would require a flood cut so that you're above the wetting front that comes up. You're going to need to remove all that. If you've got wood, you may be required to remove the wood as a porous material and replace it. prior to jumping in and doing the remediation or the remediation of the situation, check the asbestos books. Check before you rip in or drill the holes to dry out a stud wall. You may have to be doing some of this work in containment if we've got asbestos in the wallboard. Again, start drying out the area, cleaning up the area as soon as you can. Clearance on the areas after you're done with your drying out, removing material, etc. There will be a moisture check on the sheetrock to make sure that you have dried it out. Just observation, personal observation on this. You can't tell by feel whether material is dry. You have to use a meter on it. You may be required at the end to do air monitoring to assure that mold hasn't occurred. This is more or less to assure the tenant that he doesn't have an issue associated with this. And there will probably be a walkthrough by a GSA project manager to observe that everything has been replaced as required. Okay, any questions on that one? Boiler emission program. I'm going to step through these. These are Tom Records procedures. So the industrial hygienist, the property manager, building management specialists will develop a program. They'll contract the contractors, which is typically the O&M, maybe a specialty contractor, to come out and conduct the flue gas analysis. There may be coordination for the state inspector to come out at the same time. This information will be fed into the building manager, COR / GSA management. Fire protection engineer will review this information. If there's any repairs or adjustments needed, there will be an iterative loop here where the repairs will be done by the contractor and such until you're completed. Make sure that you maintain all of the records. This is a GSA COR, but as an O&M, keep your records on all of this activity. Okay, the next one is the chiller emissions program. Come in with the IH here. The contracting officer, the property manager will determine what the requirements are going to be. We'll test chillers on a yearly basis, ensure that they're being properly operated and maintained. If there needs to be changes, the contractor, probably the O&M contractor, will be notified and put under contract. Contractor makes the changes, records all calibration, all information associated with the changes that they've done. Contractor will also probably be doing a leak test on refrigeration systems. Keep all of your records, standard records as required, especially your refrigeration inventory and usage log and changes to refrigeration units. And that is pretty well it. It's pretty simple. Next one is indoor air quality. It actually has two parts, and let's start with the first one. Yep. This really doesn't currently doesn't apply to us here on the DFC. This one's designed predominantly for underground garages, applies downtown. The GSA property manager determines whether there's going to be a need for CO2 monitoring. They will go ahead and contract for the installation per manufacturer's requirements. The detectors, the meters will be set up in line with the exhaust fans, automatic kick-on at 25 parts per million with alarms set at 200 parts per million. Contractor will periodically be going in and checking on the calibration of the meters, and Tom will be contacted with the results of this, and you're done. Second part, which is more applicable out here on the center, is for indoor air quality complaints. This is related to too hot, too cold, it's stale, I smell a smell, etc. GSA will receive this information. We'll be contacting the maintenance contractor to go in and check on air flows in the area, try to determine what the problem is in the area, make the corrections to take care of it, satisfy our tenant complaint on it, and report out to the building manager, COR, on the results of what you've done. Pretty simple. And that's it.